entrepreneurship and economic development, we deal with that issue. In fact, I would argue that the reason that we have this notion that if the Chryslers and the GMs fail, that it'll deep six the economy is because cognitively, who do senators hang out with? Who supports their campaigns? Who are their friends? So if their friend Joe has a company and is having problems, and I have stock in Joe's company, who do I want to save? But what's going to happen if, well, because of the credit crunch, successful small and medium-sized enterprises can't get money for cash flow because their credit's being cut, their credit cards, they can't get money from the banks, a lot of them with big banks. What happens if those guys can't get money and their companies fail? About 80 to 90%, 70% of the employment is small and medium-sized enterprises. What fuels economic growth is the small and medium-sized enterprises. Is anybody bailing them out when they have a problem? No. Some of them may be your neighbors. They have what they call SOL. So we bail out the people who created the problem and expect that things are going to be different. So the money needs to go to promoting business, to encouraging you guys to have your own businesses, not work for the big companies, and to support other small and medium-sized enterprises.
Dr.
Ogilvie. That's okay.
You spoke a little bit about table topping and actually physically representing your creativity. In a service industry, when you're designing a new product, you can't actually see.
But you can create, for instance, if you want to design a service, you can do a prototype. You can simulate how that service is going to work, the way you see it, and have people go through it.
So more of a process.
Right.
Service.
Yeah. For service, you don't have an actual physical product, but you do have processes that embody that service. So it's a simulation. The other thing you can do is thought experiments. And you can do pre-mortems as well as post-mortems. Everybody know what a pre-mortem is? So pre-mortem is thinking ahead of time about what things can go wrong, and then thinking about what you would do to keep those things from going wrong, fixing them before they occur. And you can do thought experiments. So you can see yourself in a situation, or see your company in a situation, or see how the product goes out to the customer and what they do in your mind to get a sense of what you might want to do with it. So you can see your customer going through this experience with your company. And you can also anticipate what you think might be the sticking points or the problems. One of the big problems with service companies is that the people who are the frontline people who interact with the customer often have what we might call poor attitudes. How many people have ever called customer service with a problem and got angrier and angrier as they talk to that person? If companies would think, this stuff is not rocket science, actually. You call a customer service person. Now, sometimes the person will be very nice, and you just feel, even though they may not even solve the problem, you feel better. Why? Because of the way they interact with you. Because they make you feel that they care and are trying to help you, as opposed to the person who doesn't care and just gets you upset because of their attitude. So for service companies in particular, more CEOs, and some companies do this, but more CEOs need to act like they're a customer and call and see what the experience really is. When I was working for 7-Eleven, Falcon Corporation, we used to have store visits. But we would announce the store visits, which was dumb. So here we come tripping into the store, and having worked on the side of running stores groups, what did I do with my people and the district manager and the zone manager? We all ran around to make sure the stores were perfect. Everybody knew the big wigs were coming. So they didn't get a realistic experience. What they should have done was had unannounced store visits. Just pop in someplace and see what kind of, how they come, and not come in as a group, because then you'll say you know who they are. But just, individually. Come and see, what the experience is like for the customer. Then you really know what's going on. Yes, sir.
I would agree with you, it would be a better experience that way, but typically, like in an oligopoly situation, you as a consumer, you're not choosing customer service as your first choice.
No, you're trying to choose.
You're choosing the cheapest cable company and...
Well, let me tell you a story. That's interesting. When I was living in Texas, anybody been to Texas? Dallas? So they have strip malls. You guys know what strip malls are? It's like a little block and it has a bunch of different stores. So down the street from me on the strip mall was Bob, the pharmacist, had a little pharmacy. About a block away was a supermarket with a pharmacy in it. Another block away, maybe in the other direction, something like an Eckers or a Walgreens or something. But in the area, there were a number of the big pharmacies, drugstores. Now, most people assumed that Bob, because he was small, had higher prices than these other places. Yet, Bob had a steady customer base. You come into the store, Bob's, oh, Frank, how you doing? How's your wife? How are the kids doing? Are you sure you're taking this medicine correctly? All kinds of stuff, very attentive. So I left Dallas, went down to Austin, came back a couple of years later, said, yeah, let's go up. And I said, let me go visit Bob. Went by Bob, Bob has the whole strip. The whole strip. His business was booming. Even though people perceived that he was higher priced, his customer service made a difference and people were willing to pay what they thought was a higher price for drugs because of that service. So not everybody just goes after the, if everybody went after the cheapest thing, then you wouldn't be wearing those clothes.
They're pretty cheap.
Well, no, but you could have gotten cheaper. So it's not just about, you know, who gives me the cheapest thing. And I can guarantee you, if somebody gave you something and it cost a little bit less, but you got exemplary customer service from somebody who costs a little more, you go to the person who costs a little bit more. As long as you have the wherewithal.
Right.
So it's not just about going to the cheapest.
I know
the least expensive.
T-Mobile's customer service, you know, for some, it's a competitive field, of course, and a lot of it has to do with technology, but I can't think of the lady's name, but she's one of the pretty well-known, you know, customer service, you know, VP, et cetera. And she hires based on three things: attitude, attitude, attitude. And that's not what it's not about skill at all, because you could train skill.
That's exactly correct. Actually, you should be hiring on values. Her values was attitude.
Right.
Her value system was based on attitude. Right. If you hire on values, you'll have a better outcome than if you hire on skill. So what do I mean by that? As long as a person's educable, you can teach them something. But if I'm a thief, and I have a predisposition to steal, then I can be exemplary in terms of applying my skill, whatever it is. But if I have the value of being a thief, being dishonest, you're not going to change that. Would you rather have me? Or would you rather have him, honest as the day is long, smart enough to be trained in the skill? You know, Jim Collins talks about get the right people on the bus. Then you put them in the seats.
I have this tremendous urge to show an example.